Hello.
Live on Facebook. Hello, everybody. I'm Love Catamas, and welcome to tonight's Straight. It's December 10th, 2021, and I welcome all of you who are in our Zoom. I see a lot of our regular friends with us, and as always, for those of you in the room, let us know where you are geographically. And thank you. Gosh, I see all these old familiar friends, and it feels really good. Um, and for those of you watching on Facebook, we will do our best to also go and take a look at any thoughts, comments, or questions. Tonight's show is going to definitely be interactive because we have two really beautiful guests. Um, so to use a little bit about the topic, and first guest is my beloved Trish.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Friday night. And I'm really excited to introduce one of my dearest, most profound teachers, Reverend Bridge Feltus. And she's a founder and CEO and the visionary for the Intersection for Mankind and the dean and creator, advisor, and master teacher for most of the curriculum offered through the Remember Institute and the newly transformed nonprofit, the Intersection for Mankind. She is an ordained minister of metaphysical science, having received both master's degrees of metaphysical science and metaphysical psychology from the University of Metaphysics and the University of Sedona. Some of the curriculum of the Remember Institute's diversity consciousness, which provides resources for people racialized as white or white passing who wish to be more conscious and connected to the issues of race, disability, and other forms of marginalization. This curriculum features the Heal Thyself Transformative Initiation for people racialized as white, holistic business practices for the phase transition, critical truth theory, and more. So take it away, Bridge. I'm so excited to hear you speak today and be here with you.
Hi, it's so good to be here. I don't know what else to say. I'm really, I'm really happy to be here and excited to get to know Jorge more and to have a conversation. Uh-oh.
And able to hear me okay?
No, Scott, you're breaking up.
Wow.
Good evening.
Am I breaking up or am I okay?
You were breaking up.
Wow. All right. I'm going to have to then restart my computer and restart my Zoom. So, Trish, I'm going to need to turn it over to you to run things for a few moments.
Can you do me one favor and put in his bio for me?
Yeah, I will put it in the chat box.
Great. And then I can keep moving.
I got it right here. Edit. Copy. Am I still breaking up?
A little.
Trish, while we're waiting, where is this live on Facebook?
Oh, yes, I can help you with that. I'll tag you on a post right now.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for being patient. I know that some technical difficulties are pretty common in the world that we live in now. So there you go. This is just one of them. A little bit more about Bridge is that I'm really excited to hear about this particular topic because I know that you hold such integrity in your being, and I'm really excited for you to bring that in and to really meet Jorge and to really see what you're up to. Just to speak a little to you, Jorge Luis Delgado was born in the Andes Mountains of Peru. He's a descendant of can you say this word for me?
Chacaruna.
And Aymara.
Aymara, yes.
Native cultures, a lover of ancient wisdom. George Luis became a chakaruna, a bridge person at the age of 11 and began to assist and show pilgrims and travelers how to find their way.
Beautiful.
Yeah, You're the author of the books Andean Awakening, An Inca Guide to Mystical Peru, The Inca Wisdom, Return to Joy in Machu Picchu, The City of the Children of the Sun. You are the organizer of the Great World events and activator of portals for the expansion of consciousness. He unveils the doorway of Wilka Uta. Is that right?
That's right. Also known as Aramumuru.
Yes. And I'm so excited for us to just step into, tonight's topic of modern shamanism. So there's what we know. Okay, I'm going to just start it off with this conversation. So I'm in a particular age range in the Bay Area, and I know a lot of people who look just like me who are shamans and who take this ancient wisdom and pass it off, but make it they morph it into a very white perspective. And it feels wildly inauthentic to me. I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know until I knew what I knew, right? And so now I'm really excited to hear more about maybe how you feel about that. Either of you, I would like to hear more about how you both feel about kind of where the roots of shamanism as you know it, and also what you see in the world, like how it's expanded and what you'd like to see kind of coming back into the more traditional woven roots. If that's something that you want.
Jorge?
Okay, thank you. Great honor to share the Andean perspective about really life, because life itself, it is magical, and everything that is magical is shamanic. I mean that there is many aspects in the shamanism we cannot explain with the rational mind. It is really about the transformation in essence. And that's in life happening all the time. Well, the word is not native in Peru, it's not native in South America, but everybody who does healings, spiritual service, some people call it spiritual work, or ceremonies, one way or other, natives and visitors will call shaman. Of course, if we are not using the right word, because, for this kind of practices, for the ceremonies, for the healers, we have different names. Like in Aymara, we have the Yatiri, Hojiri, curandero, talid, well, so many names, like in Quechua. But, if we take, if we want to explain the meaning of each word, it would take an hour at least. But the most important, I think, is how nowadays we take the shamanism in the world. Of course, there is, in the colonial time, for example, everything that it was made by the natives was not good from the Spanish point of view. Everything that came from the elders from the Andes, the Spanish will say this is the devil thing. See? So the Andes people, we are very flexible. And we adjust. And even, we didn't fight against the Catholic religion. I mean, the Spanish brought this tradition, and we understood that there is interesting information there, like the names of some of the light beings, the masters, the angels, archangels. Welcome the heavens, okay? Of
Mhm.
course, we didn't know about hell, okay, until the Inquisition arrived. So the point is this, that the old ways from the ancient cultures, we will not consider even a religion. It is spirituality, because the religion is a way, the word comes from the Latin, I think, it means reconnect. If you are connected, you don't need to reconnect. And all our cultures, all of them, pre-Inca, Inca, until the Spaniards arrived, it was all about the light. So the cultures of light. And when we talk about shamanism, about the ceremonies, the healings, the transformation processes, it's all about the light. So when we are talking about the modern shamanism, the old shamanism is the same as one. It's like there is only one wisdom. And in shamanism, or in the Andean spirituality, is about to open the portals to that wisdom that's one. There's a one with that light of the Father, of the Mother Earth, of the mothers, the elements, and all that is alive, and everything is alive.
That's beautiful. Wow. I am struck by a couple of things. Like, I consider myself to be an onist. I believe in oneness. I teach oneness. I teach oneness and wholeness. In my background, I am a student of hermeticism. And through hermeticism, which is the ancient, I'm also studied in other religions as well. My thinking about all of this is that there is one truth. There is one truth. There's one truth. It doesn't matter what culture we come from, there is one truth. What's important to me about these titles is to be able to identify, if we're coming together to share information, where is my information coming from? Where is your information coming from? So that we can bring it together to be able to build that oneness, to be able to build together the oneness. And there's a lot of people who claim to have that, who show no evidence of having that, who have not done the work that perhaps you have done, who profit from calling themselves that. And because I do run a business, I choose that in my work where I make money, where I charge fees, I will not use someone else's cultural language to sell my work. It goes against some of the things I teach, which is about respect for other cultures and curiosity for other cultures, of course, but also being respectful. And for me, it's not about owning something. It's just about, actually receiving what is. So if I learn something deeply moving that is of your tradition, I'm going to credit that so that other people know where to seek it. I'm going to say, I heard it from you because it's not mine. even what I do teach, I say where I learned it from, because ultimately that's not mine either. It belongs to all of us. And I got it from where I got it from. I am a student under a long lineage of Kemetic teachers and martial artists, and a shaman of the Dagara tribe. And I am not a shaman of the Dagara tribe. I am a healer. And some people will call me a shaman, and I don't mind per se, but I will not claim that. My students, we have a whole curriculum around, well, some people would call it anti-racism work. I do not. I call it transformative work for people racialized as white. And part of that work is around correcting the history so that we can better utilize what we've collected. Because when wisdoms get passed down or passed through white supremacist cultures, quite often things are taken out in order to make it more palatable. Doesn't necessarily make it stronger or more effective work or more effective learning, but to make it more palatable, to make it feel safer, to make it feel more comfortable. And then it's claimed. And we've seen a lot of that through all different sorts of spiritual practices. Yoga is a great example of this. I don't know very much about your spiritual lineage, Jorge. I would love to know a lot more about your spiritual lineage. I'm very curious. And I'm very curious about all different spiritual lineages. And if someone asks me, what is my background? I will tell them I've learned from many different spiritual lineages. And I bring that with me. And I speak in honor of those different lineages, because I feel that on every plane of existence, there is sacred divinity, that there is no separation between spiritual, mental, and physical, that all three of these matter equally, that the only reason we call the mental and the spiritual something separate from the physical is so that we can cognitively understand them. So if everything is spiritual, my hands are spiritual, the air I breathe is magical, the words coming out of your mouth are casting spells into the world, I believe that we should perhaps honor those lineages so that they don't get lost. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, very important. We believe that in all the ancient cultures, in the roots of the ancient wisdom is the medicine for the modern time.
Yes.
But we just need to shake a little bit and see that comes from the light. Because also from the past, we had also some nights, okay? So we had days and nights. What we take is what comes from the light, from the daytime. But there is something very important. Whatever is the inspiration from the past, from the ancestors, it is inspiration. Because now is the time when we really have to use what we bring today. I mean, life is in the now, okay?
Absolutely.
And in this day, in this very moment, there is extraordinary codes from all life sharing with all life, from the insects to the stars. So we start to feel that oneness. For example, our ancestors thought that it is a family, okay? And how we recognize our family, it's a big family. So we believe that everybody who drinks the milk of the Mother Earth is our family.
Yes.
Who drinks that milk,
Every
water?
living thing.
Exactly. All is our family. Look, so this is very easy way to start to understand the oneness.
Yes.
Because, you know, when we say we are one, of course we are one, but we don't really get it. I mean, we have too much information for the mind. It is about how is our relations with all the expressions of life.
100%.
Starting with ourselves. How is the relation with ourselves? If it is really this coherence between the mind and the heart, are we coming always from the heart? Or basically we are a mind people? You know, when we start to see all the schools, all the universities, everywhere in the world, we will see we are 100% in the mind.
Yes.
So we are searching bright
minds. We want to turn everything into an intellectual question, and some things are not intellectual.
So the point is where we are learning, remembering, expanding the real thing, the real aspect of life that is light, because life comes from the light. If we don't understand that life comes from the light, we don't understand the sacredness of this light. And that's what we call Wilkakuti, the time to return to the sacredness of life, the time to return to the light.
And in your culture, what does light symbolize?
Well, light, the Father Son is the most important teacher of light, more than any other human. The most impressive masters is not that bright than the Father Son. Okay? And the Father Son itself is like a portal that let flow through his body life force energy. And what is that life force energy? Is love. Light is love. That is in service and it's wise. So that light, all the light is always in service. All love is in service. All light is wise. So if you consider yourself a light being, you are wise. You are love.
Yeah, this is very similar in the way that I was taught as well, that light is illumination, it is wisdom, it is knowing, it is the connection, the cord between yourself and the universe that brings to you all wisdom and understanding, which is really about connection. Yeah, it's connection between yourself and everything, and within you, connection between all of your different elements and parts, and also between, as I said before, the mind, the spirit, and the body. Light is the thing. It's someone very close to me recently had IVF. She had a implant of a fertilized egg into her womb, and they had a camera there so that you could see when they planted this egg and a flash of light happened. There was a flash of light. Beautiful. So this is again, this is not just a spiritual, superstitious thing, as people might say. And the ancient teachings around this, people knew intuitively, before there was science to prove these things, this was already known long before we could actually see it with our actual eyes. We sensed that these things were true. We watched the planet and studied everything we could, but we also somehow intuitively knew a lot of things that were not codified by Western science that are now you can actually witness through technology. And I think that is really, I think that's something that's really important to consider, is that a lot of what we call spirituality is simply knowledge and wisdom that we don't call science, or we don't call it fact, because we are dependent upon technology and the mind and cerebral thinking and binary thinking and all of these ways to try and control information that don't actually leave space for the things we cannot see.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. I think from the Andean perspective, we have a very beautiful way how we incorporate the different teachings, remembering, and sharings of the Father Sun, the Mother Earth. For example, every day the Father Sun is teaching us some qualities he shares. The first one is clarity. After the night, the first thing that arrives is clarity.
Yes.
So the point is what we need to clarify. In times like now, it's the time when we need to clarify.
Yeah.
But sometimes we think, you know, something is wrong here. This is what we created, but what's going on? Some people says, you know, this is the beginning of a new cycle, a new era, a new life, a new something different. Okay. Some people is asking how I have to start this new. It's very simple. The elders that now start to learn about computers, they will say, just reset. Do you know what happens when there is a reset in the computer? I ask many people, nobody knows what's happened, but it fixes everything. Okay.
Listen, I don't know what's happening when I sleep at night and wake up in the morning.
It's a reset.
When I reset me.
So that is the opportunity to clarity, to clarify the night, so we can enter into a new day. Because as much we clarify the past, we are clarifying the future. Because if we don't let it go the night, we will keep attracting the same frequencies, the same energy. So the past, it's not going to be behind. The past is going to be in front of us. That's why in Aymara language, past is Naira, and also the I is Naira. So we see with the past. So the point is, really, we want to see the future. To see the future, we need to cleanse the blockages. We need to let it go. We need to forgive. We just have to feel the presence, that light, the inner sun, we will say the Inca tradition, you know? So it is so beautiful how nowadays there is more and more interest from many
all over the planet.
All over. Incredible.
And I think what happens in for example, Western society, because so much of that has been taken away, so much of it has been hidden, or we've been diverted, our attention has been diverted to more cerebral, like rules and boxes and containers for thought and for what is possible. We have been distracted away from our power, our knowing. our intuition. We've been sort of conditioned to believe things that are not true, that don't serve us. And in my diversity work, what I'm noticing in the healing communities in the United States, and particularly in the predominantly white healing circles, people want to come back because Europe is one of the most homogenized places where, you know, we talk about Europe having colonized the world. Well, it colonized it first itself. And indigenous practices in Europe, people are now seeking their indigenous roots. They're seeking this because you can feel it in your body that you've got a disconnection and nothing will fix it. Nothing will fix it other than to reconnect. This is one of the reasons why we named my institute Remember Institute. And it makes me smile every time I hear you say the word remember, Jorge. Because that is the name of my institute. And our motto is, may we remember what we once knew before we forgot who we were. And that is not about attachment to the past, but it is about understanding how we got here so that we know where we've already been. And that's it. Because for a very long time, we've lost this. We've lost this. And it's not lost, it's there. It's everywhere around me.
It is. Well, you know, it's easy to be distracted.
Yes.
And our focus is in the distraction. So as much we enter into this new day, and we find that presence of what we call Iyatik Siwirakochan, which is the primordial light that is in our hearts. In another culture, in the Andes, we call that presence of the light of Pachamama and Pachatata, the cosmic mother, divine mother's light anchored in our hearts.
It's beautiful.
The cosmic father, the cosmic divine father, also in our hearts. So our own light that comes from the inner sun is the most powerful light, the most powerful force for this process of transformation. In the Andes, we don't believe so much that what is going to happen in the future, it will be done by a law or by some government or some institution is going to decide that we are changing. In the Andes, we believe that we need to see how are our relations, our own relations. How is our relation? Because many times we believe too much to the mind, you see? And most of the time the mind lies. And sometimes those lies we believe 100%. And the most important for us is, if we want to see if we are growing, if we are evolving spiritually, is not only what the mind says, is seeing how we are reflecting that love in our relations. So we call the 7 relations or the 7 harmonies. So if we are not in harmony with these 7 relations, that means that we still need to work with ourselves more than the other one.
I'm curious what those are, because there are 7 principles in Hermeticism as well. What are the 7?
Okay, the question is, how is your love? And how is your light? Is expanding? So the love with the Mother Earth. If you love the Mother Earth. If you establish a relationship with the Mother Earth, you know, because most of the time we just ignore it and we think we are in peace, that's all. But we don't really have we don't really have that relationship, feeling, being grateful, interact energetically. So that means we need to open ourselves as the Mother Earth opens herself to be in service to life.
Beautiful.
So how is the love, service, and wisdom with the Mother Earth? Love, service, and wisdom with the Father, Son. Love, service, and wisdom on the right side now, the family, the blood family. By some reason of the cosmos, we have the family that we have. That's a portal to expand love. So, but not in a only poetic way of the concept of love, in the practice, in reality, love as flexibility, as generosity, as patience, as to be just present, with the blood family. How our own family brings the opportunity to expand our own life. On the left side, the fourth relation, that is the neighbors, humans, plants, animals, even the stone people need to live in harmony. By some reason of the cosmos, we have the neighbors we have. The fifth relation, the fifth harmony is the tricky one, the past that's in front of us. Okay? Many people ask me, well, until when I have to harmonize? I'm working on this for so long. Well, it's very simple. You really need to be in service to release that light from the shadows from the night until you love all your past. Including the most difficult, the most challenging experiences.
This is
wonderful. Then you got the light of it, the gifts, the wisdom. You expand your light. The sixth relation is the past that's behind. You don't see it yet. Okay? It's all about how you deal with the past that's in front of you. And that you do every single day, when you are planting the seeds of the future. And if you bring those seeds from your heart, guarantee 100%, you will have an extraordinary future.
This is wonderful.
So the seventh is that really the love to yourself. Do you love yourself, or you just think you love yourself? So we explore the meaning, the energy, the light, the joy of love. That connection with the soul, it's really the encounter with yourself.
This is gorgeous. I love this. There are a couple of different things that this just reminded me of, but the overarching idea that I hear from you is reminding me of the stories of the ancient Egyptians and how they had relationships with the reason they were so advanced in their systems and their cities and all of this is because they had really intimate relationships with everything in nature. They were very much in relationship with nature, from the way that they kept track of who owned land, or the way that they measured the stars and mapped out where they were in the sky and kept records of all of this over thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Shows a deep relationship with nature. And in fact, their language was called the Medu Netier, which nobody thinks of as being the root of the word nature, but I do, because intuitively, it means the expression of the earth, the expression of the cosmos. It's the sacred language of everything, the holy language of everything. And to, for example, map out the equinoxes, something like 52,000 years that takes. That is a deep relationship, a long relationship with the stars. This is profound. and we don't even, most people in Western society don't even think of themselves as a part of nature. We don't think of the things we do as being a part of nature. We think somehow we are separate from nature. But every single breath, every single blink of my eye, every thought has a vibration. You can actually measure it now on a machine.
Yeah.
Every thought has a vibration, a physical vibration. And those vibrations affect the air, this machine sitting in front of me, my microphone. That's how the microphone works. It's picking up the vibrations of my voice, expressing words that come from my thoughts. And we're very accustomed to that being none of our business, that we're not responsible for it. Somebody else makes it work. We don't need to understand it. We don't necessarily need to understand it, but it serves us to acknowledge that it's there. It serves us to acknowledge that we are connected. It serves us to know that, there were certain attributes of nature that we don't have control over, but that we do have a relationship with. And our relationships with nature reflect our relationships with each other. Mirror image. So for me, and I don't like the word believe, but for lack of a better word, my thoughts, my perspective is right in alignment with all of what you just said. I'm very interested to explore more about the 7 relationships. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, it's very important for us to really connect with the 7 relations, a way to see, a way to explore how we are building peace, harmony in our world. But what helps us really to get with much clarity are the 7 qualities of the light. Like the one I mentioned first, clarity. We have to know very clear. We have to see how we come from that love of Pachatata Pachamama. Okay, so when we are there, we can have really the big picture that we are love. But until there is just information. We don't really have any clue until we love ourselves. And to do that, very important mission, life mission, to let it go.
The only mission.
The only mission, exactly.
Yes.
And then, after that, all is a contribution to light, to life, to the community, to the society, to nature, however you want to call. And then you have more clarity and transparency. Transparency is the other one. Is what you've been talking about, that honesty.
Yes.
But the honesty to see that in life, everything is proportional. As we have a great gift, a great talent, we have some weakness. Maybe in the physical body or in the emotional body or in the mental body. That's the way how it shows us the experience for us in order to heal ourselves, in order to domesticate some of the energies, or in order to balance, harmonize. But the honesty, the way how we bring that transparency.
Yes.
But if we see the weakness, also we can accept the luminosity of the gifts and talents that life brings to us. Pachamama, Pachatata. In this experience, in this life, really, in all the 7 relations, all is about ways to expand ourselves.
Yes.
So then we have, just to mention the other qualities, because if we go one at a time, it can go 1 hour each. We can have 1 week a workshop about
I'm game.
Luminosity. The other one is enthusiasm for life. Father Son, all these qualities of the Father Son. Father Son's light is enthusiasm for life. The impact in life.
Uninterrupted.
Absolutely. Then the other quality is the warmth. Father Son is warm. The children of the Sun, as children, we have the same qualities. So we are warm. The question is if we are really warm. Most of the time, say, yes, of course, I am a warm person. But how you see the truth is by observing your thoughts, your words. Are those warm words cold words? You know what? There is a tendency to use cold words. But as much we see it, we will notice that all the warm words come from your heart, comes from your inner sun. And most of the cold words are just thoughts. Cold, negative from the mind. So we have,
but we fear fire.
Just to finish, the other one is brightness. Father Sun is bright, children of the Sun is bright. But it's not only about the brightness of the mind, it's about the brightness of the soul, the brightness of the heart. And the 7th one is how you bring that light, your awareness of the light, how you illuminate your path, how you come here to shine and to illuminate the new day. 7 qualities of the light that every day the Father Son teaches us.
Beautiful. We are children of the light. We come from the light. That's beautiful.
Well, that's why the word Inca, Inca, it's this pre-Inca, this pre-colonial culture. But you know what? I don't believe that the Inca culture is from the past. I believe it's still alive because the energies doesn't die. It just keep growing.
Well, the truth is always true, right?
Yes, never disappears.
Yeah.
So the word Inca comes from 2 other words. In from Inti, which is the sun. Ka from Kana, which is clear, transparent. So it's a ray from the sun that can touch us. But also we are children of the Mother Earth. So we come as a filament from the heart of the Mother Earth, on behalf of the cosmic mother, divine mother, to this reality as a quartz, as a prism. Okay? So when this ray of the Father Son touches, and we let flow the luminosity of that light. Okay? We let flow that light, and this luminosity will have many aspects, many qualities. That awareness is the state of consciousness of the children of the light, children of the sun, children of the rainbows, and people say, but in essence, it's about that light.
Beautiful. I'm in 100% agreement. Listen, I don't have anything to add to that.
I'm actually going to come in for a minute. I'm back. thoroughly enjoying your conversation. You've set a world's record, the longest we've ever had a show without Trisha or I opening our mouths. You two are going to have your own show. You guys are fantastic together. Really.
Well, I'm fascinated. This is Jorge's background is not one that I've explored, and when I come across things I have not explored, I'm very curious. It's a part of my spiritual practice to drop right into beginner's mind when I'm curious about something that I don't know. And all the reverence and appreciation to you. I don't know anything about Inca culture. And but what I'm hearing from you sounds very, very similar to Kemetic history and spirituality. And I suspect that somewhere in our people's histories, we are absolutely related. And the spiritual systems are very similar. The sun is at the center of Kemeticism. It's at the center of Kemeticism, and then other stars beyond that. And in Egyptian spirituality, there were many gods, but those were more like somewhat similar to sainthood, many of them. But there were also higher deities, and the sun, or Ra, would have been the central deity. And in even further back in time, this would have been called Atem. Atem. Same, everything you just said, the same. It's I'm a little speechless at how similar.
Yes, there is only one truth. There is only one light. Obviously, the perspective is according how the cultures evolve. But what is interesting to see nowadays is important how we have a common perspective of the sacredness of life.
Yes.
I mean, in these times, how the Egyptian culture brings a contribution, how the Mayas, the Aztecs, the Native Americans, and the Incas become our teachers, But we have so many kinds of teachers all over the world.
Yes.
And it's so beautiful to see. Is all about the light. It's all about the Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how we experience life.
Yes. And how can we be more at peace with life? How can we be more in relationship with life rather than adversarial towards life? More in relationship with the breath, more in relationship with our listening, more in relationship with our speech and all of our actions, all of our senses. Can we be more in relationship with our senses? I mean, I think that's a good place to start, because many of us have aversion to feeling. And I do believe that aversion to feeling, well, how can you appreciate the sun if you're focused on avoiding what it feels like to be in the light? If because it's not familiar, maybe you spend a lot of time avoiding the sun. And I do mean that both metaphorically and literally, because in our spiritual practices, there is sun gazing, where you literally look into the sun. Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
We have also so many kinds of solar practices.
Yeah.
Nowadays is when science is telling us we need the Father Son.
Yes.
We need to have more relations with the Father Son,
Absolutely.
experiencing every day, because we need to make stronger our immune system. You know,
Yes.
all what we are living, experiencing now, it's really to improve ourselves
Yes.
in many aspects. And one of these aspects is the awareness how magically all our systems, one way or other, it's connected with the Father, Son, and the Mother Earth.
Yes.
How in the immune system, in the nervous system, in the electric system, in all the bodies, we have this connection with the Father Son. You
Yes.
know, the most important vitamin we can say for the immune system is vitamin D and C, but the vitamin D, you know, it comes from the sun. Nowadays, however, we don't have much connection. We need to have some supplements, you know.
Yes.
So the point is that as much we return to our nature, you know, even in the forest, the nature returns us to our nature, the spirit, our light body. We are designed to vibrate in that frequency. That
I
frequency is the light, that is love.
yes. And I
That is what.
believe that the way that we deal with conflict is even affected by this, because if we have no connection with each other's nature, if we are unaware, if we are not present, if we are not respectful or knowledgeable of human nature, earth nature, weather nature, water nature, if we're not respectful of these things, then we are harmed by it. It's not our adversary. We are simply ignorant to how we're relating. We're ignorant to how we're relating. My son, at one point when he was about 14 years old, he wanted to get a part-time job. And there was a wildlife center close by. They rescue injured animals if they find an eagle or a bobcat or something like that. They rescue them and they bring them back to health, and then they release them back into the wild. And so he worked at this wildlife center, and one of the first things they taught him was respect for the nature of the animal. The animal might look cuddly or fuzzy, and you want to hug the animal, but the animal doesn't want to be hugged. So if you try and force the hug on the animal, there's going to be consequences. And this is not punishment. This is not good versus evil in action. It's nature. It's nature. And our disrespect for each other's nature, for the nature of hunger, for the nature of survival, for our basic natural instincts and desires, has us be in conflict in ways that we don't have great ways to deal with. We have to go back. We have to come back to respect for nature, because nature is all there, that everything is nature. And no matter how much technology we get, that still, the technology becomes a problem because it's not in direct relationship to the rest of nature. It all has to be connected. So as we build technology and we discover new things, we discover old things we didn't know before.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So this is beautiful to see the awareness of returning to nature is more or less all over. But look, nature is wild. So do you think we should return to Salka? Salka means wild for us.
I think we should respect that part of nature and accept that it is. I don't think that we should judge it. I think we should understand and respect it. And in the ways that we can evolve and become, more whole in ourselves.
But we need to experience that.
Yes.
It's very, very beautiful. Long time ago, I was impressed by some of the elders will introduce themselves using a word Salka. There is a mountain called Salcantay. Salka is wild. So he will say, wild Salka, Jorge Luis. Oh, see, what does it mean? So I was curious, exploring, listening the mountain, because Salka is something unique. Salka is not domesticated.
It's free.
So what is wild is not domesticated. It is free. It is unique.
And it is nature.
It is nature. But that's what we are looking for, isn't it?
Yes.
So maybe we are looking for to be wild. Huh?
Yes. Yes. And there are people who use the word, they call it wilding. And they use the word to describe a practice of, gestures and behaviors that it's somatic work is wilding, for example, because it gets you back in your body and using your body to move energy and your voice and all of your systems at one time. And I believe that's an ancient practice that has been rediscovered. There are many of these ancient practices that have been rediscovered. There are many things that we're observing in nature that we're mimicking now to try and get back to it.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. But, it is our point of view to see that when we say this is wild, we are judging or we are,
oh yeah, I've been called wild.
Another world. But there is something very interesting that everything wild in nature has much common sense.
Yes.
So how is the common sense? And how much we have to undo the domestication it happens with the humans. How much controlled we are.
And
how much domesticated.
Yeah, in my private sessions with clients, I spend probably 50% of the time trying to sort of reveal that something needs to be said, something needs to be done, but it's an obvious thing. And it's not being done because of fear of appearing to be something uncivilized or impolite or not respectable. To express a disagreement, to express a desire, even to say what you desire is wild.
Yes, it is, but more the intent than the intention, because the intent, it really counts with all the forces of nature, with the forces of the stars, with the forces of the Divine Mother, Divine Father. So it works with the possibilities.
Yes.
But now, when we are only in the rational mind, we work with probabilities. According to the statistics, it's not going to happen. Because we don't trust that everything in life is complementary.
Yes.
It is part of the experience of life. There is no punishment here, only ways that all life remembers us to keep evolving. Yes. If we don't get it, the waves keep returning one way or other. So it is all sacred. That's why we have a word for that, you know. So one of the names of the divinity is Pacha Yachacha. Why we are talking together today, tonight? Pacha Yachacha will be the answer. So Pacha Yachacha, I thought long time ago, it is somebody who knows very much, you know, like the God upstairs manipulating everything. But really, Pacha is the time, is life, is the cosmos teaching us, remembering us. So the answer for everything is Pachaya Chacha. So then you really understand that it is for you.
I love it. I love the way that feels. Pachaya Chacha.
That's beautiful.
Cha-cha.
Pachaya Chachi.
I love
Pachaya
this.
Chacha. Pachaya Chachi. So,
it.
you know, in the Andean world, we don't have translation for God.
I love it.
We have many names. So the Spaniards thought, oh, those Indians have many gods.
Yeah.
When in reality, what we have are different qualities of divinity. Like Ilya Tixi Wirakochan, which is about the primordial light. Muyo Apu Contishi Wiracocha Pachaya Pachacama, you know, Wilka, different qualities, aspects of the light of divinity. It's so beautiful.
Very beautiful. In Kemetic teachings, well, this is something that you would find today in a book called the Kabbalion, but it is Kemetic teachings. The 7 hermetic principles starts with, and they build on each other. So I'll say that first of all, is that they build on each other. The first one is that the universe is intelligent. The universe is mental. Everything is in order. Everything is engineered by the all. So there is no God, there is the all, the collective sum of everything that is, was, or can possibly be in the future is the all. And that collective sum of everything creates the all. So the universe is mental, the universe is intelligent. So that's the first one. The second one is correspondence. As within, so without, as above, so below. Everything has its corresponding opposite. And then the third one, I believe, is the rhythm. I should have this in front of me so that I won't misquote. The third one, I believe, is rhythm. Let me just make sure that I'm saying them in order because I want to make sure they're in order. Correspondence, vibration, sorry. Everything vibrates. Everything vibrates. The rocks vibrate. You vibrate. Your walls are vibrating. Everything is always vibrating. And if you speak with a physicist, they will tell you, yes, this is true. Everything is vibrating. That is the way it is held together. That is the way that molecules hold together. That is the way that atoms hold together, is vibration. So everything is vibrating. And then the third one is polarity. Everything has its opposites, but they are not separate. Opposites are not separate. Hot and cold are measures of temperature. Love and hate are measures of love. How much love do you have? So there are no separations between the two opposites. There's only a range between them. So anytime we get into contests about what's good and what's evil, there's only like a range of what is useful and true, what is of service and what is true. That's polarity. After polarity is rhythm. Everything has rhythm, ebb and flow, patterns, shapes that can be repeated. Everything has rhythm. Causation, everything has cause and effect. There is an effect for every cause. There is a cause for every effect, everything. So chaos theory, in this particular path, there is no chaos. There is order that we cannot see or that we do not see. Doesn't We don't know that we can't. We don't know that we can't. In fact, if you take that out of the equation, anything is possible. So everything has cause and effect. Gender, everything has both masculine and feminine energy. I see an eyebrow raised there. Everything. And because of polarity, the polarity principle, those things are not separate, opposite things. They are ranges of one thing. Everyone is non-dual and fluid. We can express masculine energy and feminine energy, and we usually do express both. Most people express both. Those are the 7 principles.
Beautiful. You know, as I can hear you, I would say this is another important proof that we have universal understanding, and all over, I guess, in the culture has some principles or some clues about important aspects of the energy, the vibration, the frequency. You know, for us, for example, we talk about the power animals, the power of the stones, the power of the plants. So we believe that it is because all comes from the light. That light in the animal is wise, is love, is in service. Okay, so everything are like cells of the same body. Maybe it has different functions, but everyone has only one purpose.
This is absolutely wonderful.
To keep alive this body.
Deepak Chopra has a book called The Book of Secrets. And one of those secrets, he talks about the cell and how every cell in the human body has the same parts and the same ingredients. And depending on what purpose it's serving in the body, whether it's a heart muscle or feeding the lungs or a cell in your brain, it's all they all start out the same, and then they morph into whatever their job is.
Yeah, that's very, very, very beautiful, because we believe that each cell is a little sun. What the sun is? Light, that is love, that's in service, and it's wise. So as we talk with the body, we remember as light that is. So we are activating again so many gifts. And as we move ourselves, moving the waters that stuck, we are facilitated to move those little suns through all the body.
This is love.
Through our veins.
This is what love feels like, right?
Flowing. Yes, it's flowing love. It's not only blood, it's light.
Yes.
That is our frequency.
Yes.
That love uses, that's feel, that's the frequency. So we are elevating. We are feeling that divine inside of us. Because
our entire,
all life is divine.
Yes, even the entire physical form is magical, is spiritual. Every cell, every molecule is spiritual. We've only stopped calling it that because we made some social agreement that science was more important. It doesn't change what is. It still is what it is. We are magical beings. Can you imagine, as I'm listening to you describe the cell and how it's moving through the body and the light, I'm remembering all the times that I felt the distinct sensation of love. And that is what it feels like. You feel the heat, any kind of love for your mother, love for your child, love for a lover or a friend. any kind of love, if you allow yourself to experience it, it feels like the sun is in you.
Exactly. That brings you enthusiasm for life.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
As many people wonder, pardon me, many people wonder, why don't I feel motivated? You know, I planned my life. I have this job, this career that somebody told me was a respectable career where I could make plenty of money and take care of my family, but I don't feel motivated. I don't want to go on Monday. I'm so happy it's Friday. I can't wait for vacation. This is us being disconnected, because love is it's the GPS. Desire and love, this is the GPS. It steers us towards what we're here for. It's the yes. It is the yes. And we've sort of gotten distracted along the way. And so now we spend most of our time doing things that don't inspire, that do not light us up. All we've got to do is go back there and be willing to let the other thing fall apart. It's okay if it falls apart. It's natural that it falls apart.
It is part of the process.
Yes.
You know, when somebody is going through the different crises, you know, some issues with the relations, with the jobs, with the health, we say this person is going through the personal pachacuti. And in all over the world, we are experiencing a pachacuti. So, which means that what doesn't belong to the truth, it falls down. And everything that belongs to the truth starts to expand. So
but we don't need to fear this, though.
And of course, because your strength is your light. That's all.
And this is natural. What you're describing is natural. What did you call it? Pachacuti. Pachacuti. The Pachacuti is nature. This is natural.
And we have every 500 years, the night Pachacuti, the day Pachacuti. We're entering to the day Pachacuti. That brings us to the Wilkacuti, which is the return to sacredness, the return to, you know, at the night we believe in things. At the day we believe in light, we believe in love. We open the portals of wisdom. We accept, we bring wisdom.
Yeah, this is the time for celebrating. It's a time for celebration and praise.
But we're still attached to the night.
Yeah.
It's not easy to disattach. It's not easy to shake about those energies. That's why it's so vital to accomplish this mission, to let it go, the past, but the heavy energies from the past. In the Indian world, we don't say negative or positive energies. We just say Hucha and Sami. Sami is refined energies, light energies, and Hucha are heavy energies. Any of the energies that doesn't come from love is heavy. We don't need to carry those. We don't need to embody those. But unfortunately, by some mysterious reason of the cosmos, those heavy energies gives us the perception of ourselves, gives us the perception of life. So all is about really to let it go and reconnect with our inner sun, with our own light. That's our strength.
What does your culture say about the night and darkness? Because in the systems that I've studied, we think of the night and the darkness as also a part of nature, and that we are not meant to dwell in either place permanently, and that what has happened is we've gotten at some point we were focused on one, fixated on one, and so now we've gone to the other extreme, and now we fixate on the other, which means that a seed doesn't get planted in the ground where it's dark, or we want to avoid the night so we don't sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about, in your culture, whether or not there is any wisdom around usefulness or the purpose of the darkness.
Yes, it is important. There are different perspectives, different examples. For example, some of the elders, the Laikas, some of the Yatiris use black ponchos, because it keeps the energies and confuses to the heavy energies.
Uh-huh.
Okay? In a way, it's a protection, but more than that, we don't really honor, but there is a very esoteric concepts there, because Urubamba River, the sacred river by Cusco, Urubamba region, Urubamba means the fields of light. There is a legend about Wilcañusta. Wilcañusta is like a mother, a master lady, who is the director of the black light.
Interesting.
Okay, it's something like some of the Toltecs talks about the black sun. So, but in general, that could go deeper and deeper in the esoteric world. But in the Andean world, it is important for us. For example, the eclipse. Of course, in the colonial time, many things happened. Everything could be, from the what they call the devil or whatever. We never talked about it.
Right.
We thought that there is heavy energies, refined energies. We need nights to rest. We need a night to see and feel strongly, focusing in the different stars and the different constellations. That at the noon, at the daytime, we don't have that opportunity, because the light of the Father Sun takes our attention to see so much that it's very easy for us to be distracted. And even we forgot that we are dealing with light. We forgot that light is love. We forgot that every day we are touched by the love of the Father Sun. That is that light. So
we would also not have, our ecology would be completely different if the sun were always in the same, shining on everything at the same time all day, like 24 hours a day.
Yes, and everything has cycles, and the way how is the design of this experience of life is all complementary. All is part. So it's not really for to see that there is bad things in the Andean world. We don't have the word for bad. All is good. Maybe some is not there already, in that goodness, but it is, we can say, less good. But if we say less good, we are still in our own point of view.
Yes.
All is good in the big picture.
Yes.
Of course, when we
say everything is neutral. We say everything is neutral, and how you use it determines whether it is destructive or generative. So the sun can be generative, the rain can be generative, but both can also cause fires and floods. Right?
Everything is regenerating.
Yes.
Everything. Even when we pass away, we are regenerating a new body.
Yes.
But as an eternal rays of the sun, eternal rays of light, as we connect the inner sun with the father sun and the galactic sun, these ceremonies to make stronger that ray of light that never breaks, never disappear, never die. We have that awareness that there is not such a fear to die, you know?
I think it's really wonderful and fascinating that in every culture there is the concept of infinity. That there is the concept of
aspects, qualities of divinity, you know?
Yes, yes.
Eternal, infinite, infinity, eternity. You know, in a way that symbol will be the condor, you know, flies to the eternity, you know, and that works with the infinite possibilities that we have to co-create an extraordinary world.
So beautiful.
I feel guilty coming into this conversation because you two are amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. We are getting pretty close to the 9 o'clock hour. And there were so many questions I wanted to ask both of you. I'm going to put almost all of them aside. At some point, Jorge, I want to share with you, I've been blessed to be at Festival of Inti Raymi in Cusco twice. And I'd love to talk to you about some of the things there. But I do want to ask one question and then we need to close. Kind of just coming to what the theme of the show is going to be as you are bridging cultures. And I love because you've both spoken very beautifully about the big picture. But both of you are very involved in bringing cultures together. And because you're both loving, charming, wonderful, charismatic human beings, I'm sure that most of your personal interactions with people are quite wonderful. That being said, I do want to ask kind of a tough question. As elders, as wisdom keepers, as you look at the state of our world and the state of affairs, to what degree are you optimistic? To what degree are you skeptical? And what do you think is the single most important thing that we as individuals can do to evolve?
Well, as I said a few minutes ago, this is a time for celebration and putting our attention on what is possible. There's so much evidence in the present around what's falling apart, what's decomposing, what is dismantling in the moment. But all of it, I believe very strongly, is good. I believe that there will be death, that there always is death in life. Death is a part of life. It is not permanent. We regenerate, as we've just been discussing. There's never been a time in history where human beings didn't die. And so that is not to trivialize the individual, but it's to say, this is not the first time in history we have been in what feels like chaos. It does not mean that it actually is chaos, though. Just because we can't see the order does not mean there isn't order. I do believe that we are an evolving species, just like every other species on the planet is evolving. We've been able to explore some of the evolution of life on the planet. And we are witnessing maybe a speed up, maybe an acceleration of our evolution in the moment. And we're witnessing how some folks are attached to the past and want to stay with the past, which happens in every species. It happens in all life on the planet, where some participants in that species do not evolve with the evolution that's happening. So I believe we're moving in the right direction, that there is going to be some pain. There is pain in childbirth. Mm-hmm. So I'm optimistic. Yes. Is it sometimes exhausting? Yes. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of anxiety in the world right now. I feel very fortunate and very blessed to be given the gifts that I'm given, because having some gifts that you can contribute to your fellow human beings provides lots of optimism, provides hope, because I get to witness people healing, people growing, people expanding. That says to me, oh, we're not going to be extinct next week. You know, this is what's happening. People are thinking like this, like, you know, mankind is going to be ending, but nature always takes care of itself. Yeah. I'm not worried about nature. Even over the last 10 years, when we had a certain person we call 45 in office in the United States, even that, I watched that whole thing as an observer and a Black woman in this country. I didn't see that as a devolvement. Like, this is bringing into the light what has been in the shadows, so that we can look at it and not deny it. Bringing into the light what's in the shadows, we may not want to see. Well, there's a part of us that does, because our nature is connected to and dependent on the truth. But our psyche, the mind, the ego, may have different agendas. Mm-hmm. And so we have to sort of surrender into the discomfort and really learn a different way of seeing, a different way of listening, a different way of showing up in the world with respect for nature.
Bridge, I so appreciate you so much. And I agree with pretty much everything you said. When you're talking about a species evolves, certain aspects of the species are left behind. And I really had to zip up my lip and not make a political reference at that point. But, you know,
by the way, I'll say something a little bit controversial about certain folks who we might think of as being way off base, but they are a product. Their voices are a product of something that they didn't create. They have healing as well to do.
Oh, yeah.
And the voices that they are speaking up with, whether it is the truth or not, it needs to be brought into the light. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We have to have the conversations. It's like, you know, being in a relationship with someone who never talks to you about their feelings, about what they're experiencing. They are suffering. Yeah. This is not healthy people.
Yeah. I'm reminded of the wonderful quote from Mark Twain: "Travel is the cure for prejudice and ignorance." You know, which is a nice little quote to sum up what you're saying. And absolutely, and Trisha and I really do our best.
I would replace that with intimacy. I would say intimacy, because that is what you're experiencing when you travel. You're becoming more intimate with other people.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm curious what Jorge.
Before we go to Jorge, I do want to hear Jorge's response, but this is the part of the show where you tell us all about Heal Thyself. And now, is there I'm going to go to campus menu and courses, and I want to see when your next course is, because that said August, and I know there's
Yeah,
What do
I
you
don't know
got
why that
coming?
says August, but we have several study paths at Remember Institute. One of them is called the Curriculum for Diversity Consciousness. And we
Okay.
call it that because we're not teaching people behavioral things to say and do. We are actually doing some history rehab. We talk about trauma. We talk about sexuality and relationship with the body, and how these things are impacted by settler colonialism, cis heteropatriarchy, white supremacy, ableism, gender phobia, all of these different paradigms that sort of rule Western society. And it's not a guilt and shame factory. It's a celebratory, but also reverent look at what is. And then a community that you join afterwards. Our next Heal Thyself course, it's a 6-week course. It starts the beginning of January.
Okay.
And we are still accepting registrations for that. If you reach out to Trish, she can give you she has a friends and family discount code. I hope that's okay that I said that, Trish.
Actually, I would love for
Oh man.
Trish to jump in and share a little bit about how your course has completely changed her life, and as a result is impacting all the rest of us.
Can I ask you my favorite question now since our last conversation? Because
I
like
know this question. I
Yeah,
know the
because
answer.
I want to get it out front, because I know that a lot of people have sensitivity around this topic and aversion to even discussing it. And so I want to say, first of all, that when we in my work, when we talk about racism, what we mean is not the dictionary definition per se, because the dictionary was written by old white men. It's not written by people of color who experience it. So what we would call racism is a combination of ways of thinking, so biases, prejudices, preferences and aversions that are based on race that cause oppression. The oppression part matters. If I don't like you because you're white and I cannot oppress you, that is prejudice, but it is not what we are concerned about with systemic racism. Okay. Systemic racism actually affects people's lives. It is engineered, it is designed into cultures, and it causes frames of mind. It creates biases that aren't true. It creates separation, even for people of color. So, when we talk about white supremacy, it's not it's not about a white person. It's about a system and a way of thinking. And most of us know that we have biases that we're not aware of. In fact, if you study psychology a little bit, you'll find that they talk about implicit bias and explicit bias. And the explicit bias is the stuff we know and it's out front and we can vocalize it. But then there's implicit bias that we aren't aware of that affects our decisions, our everyday life, like why we choose something or who we choose to date or how we vote or whether we think someone's being treated justly by law enforcement. Biases affect that. Whether you're afraid of someone, your biases affect that. So I want to know what my biases are, because I want to make decisions that are in integrity with what I believe in. I believe in love, and I believe in harmony, and I believe in peace, and that everyone has a right to live and love and have peace. And that is not the way the world is right now. Everybody does not have access to those things. everybody doesn't have access to food and fresh water. And that is quite often, you can find this to be prevalent with places that have been colonized. And so we do the 6-week class, and we start out with some basics of Zen Buddhism. And we talk about beginner's mind and integrity and humility. And then from there, we study the history of race and other forms of oppression across the globe. So my question to you, Trish, and this is the question that nobody wants to answer: are you racist? She froze.
That's so funny. What timing? What remarkable timing. I mean, she was right there with you. Her little eyes were blinking. She was there, and then, yeah, that is amazing.
Wow.
Well, there you have it, folks.
I know.
Oh, wait, I can hear her.
Okay, well, ask me the question. I've been waiting.
Oh, but you're frozen.
You're frozen.
Well, you're frozen for me. I'll still answer the question.
Oh, that's
I hope
hilarious. All right,
Trish, try turning your camera off. Oh, now you're back.
There we go.
Oh, she's back.
Uh-oh, you're still frozen, but
She froze
if you can
again.
hear me, it's okay.
Okay.
Are you
Okay.
racist?
I'm inherently racist because I grew up in a deeply oppressive society that teaches people hierarchy and teaches people separation and teaches people how to harm each other to get our needs met. So yes, I am. And I now know why, and I now know how, and I now know what I'm looking for to be more loving.
And how do you feel about that?
Into a more loving role.
Do you feel ashamed?
Did I before? Yes. Do I now? How could I know? How could I change something I didn't know? How could I be ashamed of something that I didn't know that I was doing?
Yes. So part of what we do in the course is we look at the history.
You know, like I don't feel shame because I'm also actively moving.
And the other thing is that white supremacy oppresses white people.
Yeah. Oh, I have this thing. Oh, so yes, Bridge, you inspired me to get to really ask my questions with my grandma, and I have learned so much about my ancestry. And I am not the only Patricia Wright in my family. And I was like, wait, what? Nobody ever told me that? Oh, wow. Totally random. I'm not named after this person. There's multiple things going on there. I was like, whoa, there's lots of things that I couldn't have ever understood about the world or about love and the way that I can align myself to actually my values and really what that looks like in moving from to actually decolonize myself.
Yes.
And if you want to know if this course is awesome, I'm actually taking it again.
What? Really?
I'm taking it again this next time. I just haven't.
Awesome.
Because I worked through the information before and I was like, whoa, and it took me some time to integrate. And now I'm stepping back in because I'm looking at it from a very different perspective.
Yes, folks should know it's the equivalent of a short college semester of information and study. And I really want to diffuse or de-escalate the anxiety that people feel around this topic, because here's the truth. When white people from Europe left Europe and went to all the different corners of the world, some of the people established similar systems that they left behind, that they ran away from in Europe. And we have to remember that there were indigenous tribes in Europe, and that those tribes and all of their culture and all of their spiritual practices and ethnic identities were banished. In fact, people were killed and hung from nooses in the streets and their heads cut off and burned at the stake. All of these things happened in Europe before they happened anywhere else. And so that legacy of fear and the legacy of domination and classism, all of those things didn't start in the colonies. It started at home. So the common white folk, first of all, that's just a made up term. The common European folk had their own cultures that they don't even know about, most of them anymore. And so how do you connect with the earth? And how do you understand yourself? You know, I think I told this story the last time I was on with you guys. I used to not like my singing voice. I used to think my singing voice was really shrill until I started to be curious about my maternal lineage. And I started to explore the Choctaw people, who are a native tribe of the Americas. And I was listening to some of their ritual singing, and they sound like my grandmother. I sound like my grandmother. All of a sudden, I had this connection with why I sound the way I sound, and that I was judging it because it didn't sound like mainstream American singers. So this connection with your history, with your lineage, with your family will take you back to the earth. It'll take you back to your body. It'll take you back to why you look the way you look, why you move the way you move, what are the traumas that you need to let go of, that you don't even know are in your body from your ancestry, because your ancestors have gone through so much. And I think it's really important to connect. This is why so many cultures have relationships with the ancestors. It's very important.
Absolutely. Epigenetics has taught us that before we're even born, we receive a genetic download in our cell of the trauma of our ancestors going back 7 generations.
Yes.
If you really think about how many people that is, if you think 7 generations, that's so many people. And so all of us are carrying war, rape, watching friends and family be murdered, plagues, starvation, famine.
Mm-hmm.
All of us have that in our genetic coding, right?
And if your ancestors come from a place where the weather was harsh, you know, the further away from the equator you get, the more natural trauma causes more adversarial relationships with nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then people become adversarial with each other. This is all in our systems. And it's not that you have no influence over this, but you can't influence what you don't have awareness of.
Right, right.
So this is why we do what we do. We encourage people at the end of the course to consider doing a little bit of cultural exploration into their past.
So I am going to take people into your course because I still got to get to Jorge. We still get to promote Jorge's stuff. And thank you, Jorge, for hanging in there with us. So go to the rememberinstitute.com and upper right-hand corner, click and go to the campus lobby. I think that's a pretty good place to start. Is there another place you'd like to direct people to? But that's where you can look at the courses, log in.
Yeah, if you go into courses, and if you want to just explore a little bit about who we are and why we do what we do, that first button there you see is the Remember Institute Open House. It's automated. You can visit it anytime you like. And if you scroll down there, there are videos in there of testimonials of our students. The Remember Institute, our mission is to promote the concept that science, art, technology, and spirituality need to collaborate for the benefit of mankind. And so that's our overall mission statement, is that we want to emphasize the idea, and this is not a new idea, this is ancient. This is the way we started out, was spirituality and science were one thing. The ancient Egyptians were observing nature, that's science, but they were speaking of it in spiritual terms.
Yes.
So it was all one thing. Only after colonization did we start separating the two.
And it's beautiful how science and spirituality are now coming back together.
Yes.
Our quantum physicists have proven that the unified field is exactly what our spiritual teachers have been telling us forever. So,
yes, sir.
Jorge, I am putting the spotlight on you. Thank you so much for joining us and for your amazing contributions. And I so am grateful that you reached out to us, and I hope you'll be on the show again. And I do want to show people where you can learn more about Jorge, which is his Facebook page, which I had here a moment ago. Here we go. So if you go to Facebook and you put in Jorge Luis Delgado, that's I think the best place to get information. Is that correct? Or should we take someone to this website, Contiki Peru?
Yeah, Contiki Peru or Jorge Luis Delgado is okay. But let me give you just a very quick answer of the question.
Yes, please.
It was about the question,
Optimism.
what can we do? I am really optimistic. The Father Son is optimistic for life, okay? So as children of the Sun, our impact in life is optimistic. Everything that comes from the inner sun, from the heart, is optimistic. It's warm with affection. That's the kuyai. And the most important contribution that we can bring to this world, it is really about to love ourselves. If we love ourselves, then we can love the Mother Earth. We can love our relations. All starts in our heart. Thank you very much. It was a great honor to share in this beautiful program.
Jorge, before you leave, I would love to introduce you, because you're right, self-love is what it's all about. And there's this wonderful weekly online show called the Self-Love Show, which happens to be hosted by Trish Wright, who's right here with us.
Would you like to teach a self-love technique on the show on a Thursday morning?
Sure. We can coordinate it. Okay. Thank you very much.
Jorge, thank you so much. And again, everybody, you can go to his website, which I'll put it in the chat box. It's contikiperu.com. contikiperu.com, or to his Facebook page. And Jorge, just what an amazing conversation between you and Reverend Bridge. Twins separated at birth.
I'm fascinated.
Coming back together.
Can we do this again, Jorge?
Oh, yeah, I'll be happy. Really happy to do it. Yeah.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's an honor.
Well, and I hope you can come to Peru to experience some of these Inca wisdom walking on the sacred sites, in the land of the children of the sun. It's just amazing. Like the picture behind me, it's sacred Titicaca. And it is just amazing how everything is to opening. I mean, it's not only because the time of the COVID or whatever, but it is the cycle, starting a new cycle in these sacred sites is just extraordinary. In February, in January, the end of January and February, we are doing an important gathering in Urubamba, the Fields of Light. Will be a conference about what we learned from these events, with different waves and different situations on the planet Earth, and how we can really embody through our lives that light that we are observing, our habits, how we are changing in all the aspects of our lives. And then we will do a pilgrimage to Machu Picchu, Sacred Titicaca. You can get some more information in Contiki at contikiperu.com.
And what are those dates?
It is on 29 January to the 3rd. It is the gathering in Urubamba at the taipicala.com. www.taipicala.com. It is a hotel, but more than a hotel, it's a retreat center with beautiful temples of the inner world, of the elements, the different mothers. It's just extraordinary gardens for this naked soul gathering.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Naked Souls Gatherings.
I am intrigued. I've written down the website.
Yeah, maybe you can come to be to share all your wisdom, or the wisdom of all the traditions, and it's about to remember each other.
Yes.
How we can improve our lives, how we can improve the contribution we bring to this new day, to this new cycle we are experiencing now.
I'm very interested. Perhaps we'll see each other in January.
What a remarkably unique episode this has been. It's been amazing. Thank you for both of you just being amazing human beings and carrying on with such an incredible conversation. As Trish just wrote, remember ourselves, remember each other. Mark Danisovsky's writing, this is a show for the record book. And I agree. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you enjoyed this show, share it out with your friends. And much love, and want to invite everybody to have a wonderful weekend. And a reminder to watch tomorrow night, Saturday Night Alive for the Global let me try that again. Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe. We've got Reverend Michael Beckwith, Reverend Matthew Fox, Chief Phil Lane Jr., my good buddy TJ Woodward, Jonathan Robinson. Amazing music and comedy and magic all tomorrow night. So join us for that show. And always every Thursday morning, the Self-Love Show. And much love, everybody. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Peace and love.